So I'm just going to fly through my usual prep routine. I'm going to push back the cuticles, and then I am going to go in with a medium sanding band and remove all the shine, and be careful that I go into all the nail grooves. Now when I'm finished with this, I'm just going to put some alcohol on a brush and get rid of all the dust properly, and I'm going to go in with a dehydrator just to make sure that nothing lifts. Now these are the forms we're going to be using today, and I'm just going to peel them off the backing paper, and I like to take the little tab thing out and secure that underneath because that will keep the form more in place. And these are really good forms, they're really sturdy and nice. So I'll be pinching them at the bottom. I just want to see what the fit is like first, and my nail is a nice oval for it, so it fits really well. I'm going to open the tabs up and I aim the thick line in the middle of the form against the middle of my nail approximately. And if you look at all the other lines on the form, you can line up the side walls so that they come up really perfect. And you want the form coming directly out of the nail, and you want it really good and secure. Now the reason I wanted to try this with forms is because not all tips fit everyone, and sometimes they can be a bit of a hassle. If you use forms, you get a much more tailored look. Today I've had the idea that I'd try to use normal acrylic powder with a pink tone. The reason I've chosen this is because I hope you can see easier on the form where I'm working, and I thought, to be quite honest, that it's a bit thicker than dip powder. That's the base, number one, and it might be able to, well, what should I say, build the nail a bit quicker. So I'm going to use number one, the base, and just sort of start at just at the ends of the nail at the free edge, and I'm going to bring it down on the form thinly to where I want the nail to be. I'm just going to take my time with that, and I've chosen today to use a cuticle pusher to sort of, what should I say, spoon it over, because I can't dip a nail with a form into the dip powder. Now what's going to happen is, when you put the dip powder on at the end, it's going to look really ugly and bumpy as it goes on, and just tap it off. And afterwards, after that's dried for like 20 seconds, I think the dry time is, I'll just get a soft brush and brush it off. So this is what it looks like on the form. I'm actually quite happy with that. It's got like a little dip in it, but that can be fixed. And I'm going to put number two, which is an activator on. That will make it go hard, because I just want to kind of, well, put a file to the sides and make it a bit easier when I do the shaping. Now I had an absolute problem to get these forms off, and what you do is you pinch them from the underneath, and sometimes you can use a cuticle pusher just to release them from the sides. But as I said, these were stuck, so I just managed to get them off gently and patiently, because you don't want to go and break the extension off, because that is really thin at this point. To be honest, I can't really remember how many layers I actually did on the tip. I did quite a few more because I like it to be flush when I start filing, and it wasn't at all. So I did like several, well, what I thought was thin layers. I mean, this was kind of time consuming, because if it had been like another product like acrylic or gel, I would have been able to build out the tip in one go. So when I was happy with that, I went in with number two again, which was the activator. And don't pay any attention to it being bulky and ugly, that's the reason we got files. So just kind of get enough product on so you can work with it. And because it was sort of gooey and strange, I actually even put number two, which is the activator, underneath as well. When this finally hardened, I had like a few hanging bits, and you can get a pair of old cuticle cutters and just cut them off really carefully. That will save you some time when you file. So I used the sides of the 100 grit. This is a 100 over 180, just to sort of refine the sides and the shape before building the nail anymore, because that will save you quite a lot of filing at the end. So I think that kind of looks quite nice already. And because I was touching the nail when I was filing, I actually had to put a bit more dehydrator on. I just did that just in case. So now I'm going to start building the nail, and I don't know if you noticed, but I've switched over to a clear acrylic powder, because the fact that it didn't harden very well, that was really stressing me, to be quite honest. So I'm just going to start like in the middle of the nail, and bring it down. There's several ways of putting in an apex. I've done another video as well that I can link. So as I said, from the middle and down, and I'm just going to put the powder over that. I am letting everything dry in between all the layers. You can't see it on the video because I've taken it out. Now I'm building it even further up just to make sure that we've got really good structure. And to be quite honest, at this point I was kind of getting a bit annoyed because I felt that I was never getting finished with it. So at this point I'm sort of almost 3/4 up the nail, so I am slowly but surely getting there. As I said, I was a bit worried that I was working too thick because otherwise the activator won't penetrate. So I mean, I keep just repeating those steps. I mean, to be honest, I can see why they don't do this in salons. It's because it takes ages. But I mean, this is a nice thing for beginners to sit and try and do at home, especially if you're new to forms. And I mean, the shape's coming out quite nice and the structure's starting to be there. Now, because I'd done what felt like a million layers, I grabbed my activator and I went in and put a thin coat of that and I let that dry, because I was just worried that if I bulked it up too much it wouldn't penetrate all the way down and that I'd sort of have some kind of soggy weird product in the middle. Now I'm not going to lie, I think I had to do like 5 more layers. This one here is the one that I go up to the cuticle, but I leave a tiny bit of a space because I don't want it on the skin and whatever. But as I said, I mean, this is really time consuming, and with a fairly long nail that I've got, I need good structure because otherwise it's going to break. So I mean, you can see that it can be done, but I'm waiting on some clear dip powder. I wonder if that might work a bit better. As I said, I think the worst part about this is it's so time consuming. So before I finish this off, I am going to go in with the activator and really let that dry before I start filing. So I'm just going to go with my e-file with my safety bit just to debulk it and get a nice shape, and let's see what we end up with. So this is the finished now, and to be honest, I think it looks really nice. It's got a good apex, it's got a C-curve because I used a form. It's nice and thin, so I mean, I'm happy with that. But I decided that I'd like to go in with some colour, and I chose colour from the Beatles collection. I'll link that down below. Now this is the exact same process. Thin coat of the base, and then you either dip your finger in if it's, well, if the nail's short enough, or you can just sort of drizzle it over like I always do. Now to be quite honest, I just wish I'd have left it alone because it started to go wrong again. Some of these lighter colours, they can be a bit arsey to work with, and to get a decent coverage I had to do it 3 times and it kind of came out a bit streaky. So this just wasn't going well at all, and to be quite honest, to have to do 3 layers I think is a bit much as well. So I mean, when you do nails you can have good days and you can have bad days, and today was just a really bad day. So let's just finish that colour off. So I'm just going to give that nail a good dust off, and then I'm going to go in with the activator to make sure that we really harden the nail. Thin coat, actually I think I ended up doing 2 coats of activator before I buffed and just shaped the nail just one last time. And I'm just really unhappy with this. The cuticle is bumpy, I'm lacking some colour on the sides. I've even managed to cut myself with a file actually, I never usually do that. So I didn't quite like this, so I thought let's try and save it and sort of camouflage the cuticle. And I think we've all done this at some point. We've made a mistake or something doesn't quite look right and we tried to fix it. Unfortunately that was an even worse idea because I grabbed some silver dipping powder and I thought, yeah, let's do a design. So I've kind of done diagonally at the cuticle, and then I did the tip of the nail, and this again is the base. When you're working with glitter, make sure you give it a really good dusting so you don't get it in other products. So I'm just going to get that off, and I repeated the same steps one more time. So when I was finished and went to put the activator on, I realised that this nail was actually getting really chunky because the glitter is more chunky than the regular coloured powder, and it was just really sort of building up. After I got that on and I'd let it dry, I actually had to go in with a sanding block and just smooth it down. It was that bad. So I did a layer of top coat just to seal everything in and let that dry off. And in my mind I had a really good idea, because this is a design that I did on gel nail once. Unfortunately this came out completely different. I kind of wanted to see what would happen if I used the top coat to attach rhinestones, and of course the idea here is not to use a lamp, so I can't use like a gem glue. And I'm just going to apply rhinestones on the silver with my wax pencil. And what I did was I just put the top coat on as I went along, because otherwise that wouldn't have been any point. It dries really quickly, so you have to work fairly fast. So I'm going to need to speed the video up a bit, because this was literally taking forever. I mean, the actual nail itself took forever. I mean, it feels like an absolute eternity. If you're a beginner, I hope you see this and realise that we all do stupid things and we all have bad days and make silly mistakes, and that's why I'm going to post this video too, and so that other people don't need to start the same project. And this is the finished nail. It's weird, it's bulky, it's not crisp at all, and it took forever. So this was not a good idea, and I do not recommend building the nail like this. Please like and subscribe. I'll be trying to do this again with clear dip powder, see if it's any better. And until next time, bye.